that's good, because I was just thinking about what the fuck I'm going to do on the intro. Let me think of how I'm going to look. Okay. Well, on an afternoon where there's plenty of NPL Men's New South Wales action to choose from, this is definitely up there with one of the picks of the bunch. It's Blacktown City, St George FC that take to the action here at Landon Stadium this afternoon. Two sides that have had varying fortunes in the first 10 rounds of the season. It's baffling to say that we're already a third of the way through this regular campaign for 2025, but what a start it has been in the opening 10 rounds. For the likes of St George, who have pretty much completed the transfer of the off-season with Bay Antonio, who has been absolutely sublime for them. A move of his life, as we said a couple of weeks ago, as they took on St George City in the match of the round. All good? Fucking. Let's have a look at how that was. Okay, I need to prepare an intro because that was shit. That was haunted. That was good. Yeah, I need to do better than that. I can up that. I'm not a commentator, so you know better than me. Hey, do another one? One that I might do. Yeah, I might do. Well, because I'm filming off this, I can't. Sometimes next to me, I can do it. No, I feel you. All right. Okay. Tell me one. Well, on an afternoon where you've got plenty of fun action to choose from in the NPL Men's New South Wales, this is up there with the pick of the bunch. It's Blacktown City at Landon Stadium hosting St George FC. This is a place where the Demons have not lost since round 2, and that was to Spirit, who have surprised everyone. That was one of the games that told everyone to be on notice. But now, over these last few weeks, with a cup win in the week here against NSW FC from League One, it has been a fun few weeks for the side in black, led by Mark Crittenden. As for their visitors today, well, what can be said about St George FC and Bay Antonio, the likes of those players that have been getting it done for the Saints? Can they do it again here at Landon Stadium on this Sunday afternoon, 3 p.m. kickoff? Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. All right. Fuck, I'm nervous.
I can't see no nerves in that.
Really?
I know, you probably feel it.
Oh, fucking. It's just, I always script an intro, and this is the one game where I was like, nah, I just want to go off the cuff.
Yeah.
But that said, I might.
You'll get better as you.
Yeah, exactly, bro. Exactly.
Keep reading the script, and one day you're not prepared for the script. And
yeah, full.
You're gonna have to.
I think 100%. No, that's true, actually. That's good.
Just when I'm starting on the dot.
Yeah, a bit more breathing time. I need to see if the lineups are out, actually. Oh, you're joking me. How's it fucking 3 o'clock and the lineups still aren't out on Dribble, man? Wow, that's minging. That's poor.
Moore.
Thanks, bro.
Number 10, Maxim Jez. Number 11, Danny Troy. Number 22, Jacob Manidi. Number 20, Zach Bowling. Of course, coached by Mark Crittenden. The George Lions just come in. Skipper number 3, Troy Danassos. Number 4, Mark Roddick. Number 5, Nicholas Kalajuru. Number 6, Paddy O'Shea. Number 8, Evan Souris. Number 10, James Casella. Number 14, Justin Poon. Number 15, Bar Antonio. Number 16, Hayden Wright. Number 27, Jaden Cito. And in goals, number 20, Daniel Axford. On the bench, number 1, Jonathan Stark Harris. Number 7, Sunday Yona. Number 12, Thomas Dunn. Number 23, Javier Rodriguez. Number 34, Koda Uyuka. And number 40, Hassan Kamberovic. That's coached by Fabian Jelly. Referee for today's fixture, man in the middle, Victor College. Referees, Travis Griffith, Aaron Dominat, Liam Smith, is your fourth official. Moments away from kickoff this round 10.
On an afternoon where there's plenty of attractive action for you to choose from across our competition, this is up there in terms of intrigue and ability to excite. Mark Crittenden's Blacktown City, despite not always securing maximum points, haven't lost here at Landon Stadium since round 2. When you realise we're somehow already a third of the way through the regular season, that stat grows in meaning. A cup win in the week is part of their recent home successes, but the test they face today is a St George Saints side hungry to continue a run of form. 4 wins in their last 5 for specifics that has surprised the masses. Perhaps not those within Fabian Michelli's camp, who have been adamant to compete at the top end of the table in their second season back in the top flight. But nevertheless, it is 6th v 7th right now in Seven Hills this afternoon as NPL Men's New South Wales Round 10 concludes. Jude Dolan here with you on the call, live on the Football New South Wales YouTube channel. It is a pleasure to have your company wherever you are watching from, as the two sides make their way out onto this turf that, as I mentioned, has been so successful for Blacktown, not just across their history but in recent times as well. That loss in round 2 to Spirit, which you can argue was probably the game that put the league on notice. David Perkovic's side performing there, and then the week after a 3-0 win away at Apia Leichhardt, and that really made everyone stand up and take notice to what Spirit have been doing this season. A loss for them last night shows that there is ability for those to catch up with them. It's not all said and done by any means yet, as we're into the last matches of the first third of this campaign. So let's take you through the lineups that have just been confirmed. The dribble submissions have come through. In terms of the hosts, Blacktown City, it's a case of fix what's not broken. We'll go through them in numericals. It's Caden Henderson who starts in goal. Lachlan Campbell, Grant Lynch, Adam Berry are in front, as well, obviously, as the skipper, number 7, Travis Major. Jack O'Brien, who, of course, scored that belter last week in their last outing in the league, right here against the Sutherland Sharks. It's Mitch Malia, who can also excite in front of goal, that's for sure. We've seen that throughout his career. Benjamin Berry, Martin Fernandez, Nick O'Brien, and Jacob Kressner is how things go there. I believe it is the exact same lineup as last week at home to Sutherland. In terms of St George, who suffered a loss in the week in the Cup to Sydney Olympic, they'll be looking to get back on winning terms, or at least in the league where there hasn't been too many flaws in the last few weeks. Their lineup today consists of the skipper, number 3, Troy Danaskos, starting us off numerically. It's Mark Rodic, number 4, Nicholas Caligiero, Pat O'Shea, Evan Souris, Jaden Casella, Justin Poon, Bay Antonio, Caden Wright, Daniel Axford in goals again, and Jaden Cito to round off their 11. As a decent crowd starts to build here inside Landon Stadium this afternoon. Plenty of action coming away, as mentioned, across the NPL Men's New South Wales, and indeed the women's competition this afternoon as well. Action down at Seymour Short later on at 5 o'clock. But before then, enticing action aplenty, and it kickstarts right here, right now for St George City FC away to Blacktown. One of 3 matches coming to you at 3 p.m. live on the Football New South Wales YouTube channel as round 10 concludes. An early foul there as both sides get a feel for each other. Literally, with Jaden Casella going down. Grant Lynch with some of Blacktown's first touches. Of course, I'll make sure to bring you score updates as they happen across those other games in the league. We appreciate your company here watching this one. Meanwhile, Major's almost away down the right, but St George are able to get a foot in advance. Here's Campbell. Out to Lynch. It's Jacob Kressner on the left. Back to Lynch, and they're either going to go forward for an early goal or just play it around the back and get a feeling for each other. It looks like the former, as O'Brien's got it now. Looking for options, it'll fall to Kressner on the left. Back with O'Brien. Well done by Pat O'Shea to apply the pressure, giving no room to Fernandez, who's going to look for some down the left. Finds O'Brien, who finds Kressner again, and it's deja vu early. O'Brien, can he find a pocket? He can't. And the first corner of the match is awarded to the hosting Demons. We've already seen one stunning game this afternoon between these two sides. The under-20s, it was St George Saints who managed to grab a 2-1 win. A brilliant goal from Maddie MacArthur in the second stanza to do that. O'Brien over the corner. Doesn't bypass the first gate. Bay Antonio, if I'm not mistaken, with the header out, and they're going to have to regroup from a throw. Kresnar goes deep to Major. Manages to hold off his man. It's back to Kresnar in the middle, and if it weren't for a head there, O'Brien would have had a clean hit at it. Now it goes to Berry. Out further to O'Brien. Marley is going to be able to put one in the box and able to find a Blacktown head. St George just absorbing early on. We know the talent they do have when they go up, one of which was just in action right there. A smile on his face by Antonio as it dribbles out for Jacob Kresnar to regroup for Blacktown. But if he can get going again and keep that form going, if I'm not mistaken, 6 in his last 5. Of course, last time out in the league, St George taking on the Central Coast Mariners at their home of Barton Park last week. A convincing victory. 2-0 with 2 brilliant goals. He's going to get a few mentions on this call, but Bay Antonio with another rocket on that Friday night as well. Back in daytime action on a beautiful Sunday afternoon here at Landon Stadium in Seven Hills. St George. Major goes to O'Brien on the right. He won't win out on that occasion. It's Saints that do so. And Danaskos will be able to take the throw and regroup for them. On the side closest to the grandstand, that hasn't seen much of proceedings thus far in these early minutes. Most of the play coming down this side. Other than that ball from Travis Major searching for O'Brien before, but that is why St George have possession back, because that did not accrue any victories. A lovely searching ball through that's unable to find Justin Poon. And Grant Lynch is able to go diagonal. Mitch Mully is not going to get there. Suris with a slip. Danaskos can calm things down. The skipper who spoke so passionately a couple of weeks ago about the fact that the start of the season for St George had been a topsy-turvy one, but in these weeks gone by they've really proved exactly what I said in the intro, is that they want to compete at the top end this season. Talk about sides that come up their first 1 or 2 seasons back in the top flight and how it's mainly a case of securing your spot for next year, but absolutely not for a St George FC side who have played some of the most exciting football in the league, I have to say. Rodic goes wide to Caligari. It's his opposite number, Grant Lynch, who manages to get ahead of that one. Apologies for the language that you might hear from passionate sides today. No doubt you've heard it before, and you'll definitely hear it again. But a tense battle already. Fernandez trying to trickle away from 4. Unable to do so. Antonio's ball hasn't reached much fruit for St George, and now Malia can bring it forward if afforded the space, which he is. And it goes to O'Brien. He's going to have to search back. Lovely 1-2 played with Berry, who's advancing now on the right-hand side. If he can play a ball lateral, it could have been 1-0 Blacktown. It might still be. But St George get there ahead of anyone in a black shirt. Grant Lynch. Back to Kresnar. Lynch again. You can see what they're trying to do with the 1-2s. Kresnar's going to take this one alone. Into the box it goes, and it just falls ahead of Malia. O'Brien tries to get it back in the box, but he's only denied by Danaskos, who gets his body in the way, and St George clear. And now you can say that these two have a feel for what they're going to bring to the table. I'm sure in the week was plenty of analysis. Of course, with cup fixtures in between, so focus on that. But in this latter part of the week, making sure that the bodies are ready for a big, big test here on your Sunday afternoon. As Blacktown bring it up again, it's O'Brien. You know he likes that range! And it could have been 2 enticing goals in 2 weeks from Blacktown's number 8 in the first 10 minutes of proceedings. Not too dissimilar a position to where he belted one home last week to give Blacktown a hard-fought win against the Sutherland Sharks, who were the latest to fall victim to Mark Crittenden's style of football this season. Jaden Casella has got plenty of experience himself, the youngster, but he's going to be one of the big ones with the task for St George in breaking down Blacktown today. Souris plays a 1-2 with O'Shea. Caden Wright. Now Antonio, who's deeper than he'd want to be, but he plays a lovely 1-2 with Danaskos. And now it's forward for Casella. Not much fruit from that one. Out it goes again to the skipper, Danaskos. Antonio on the edge of the box. And if it weren't for a slip on Justin Poon, he was in a good position there to benefit from the cross. Nothing doing, and Kresnar is taking probably his doesn't throw in of proceedings so far as we enter the 8th minute here at Landon. A chance to take a quick look around the grounds in the big one. Sydney United 58 have taken the lead against Rockdale Illingdon. I'll confirm the scorer for you as soon as possible. Elsewhere, the battle of the two southernmost sides of the competition, Wollongong Wolves and Sutherland Sharks, are still at 0-0. 21 minutes into that one, a little belatedly kicking off at 3. We were here, but nevertheless the action is underway. And it's intriguing already. Kresnar shouting for it on the left. Major's not going to go to him. Instead, he still's going to switch, but it's going to go to Grant Lynch instead, who would be hoping he has Kresnar in that situation. Now Berry does well to get away from his man. Can he get away from Souris, who's applying a lot of pressure as well? He can. Kresnar's going to have to turn well here and does so. Malia awaits the overlap. And I would have been surprised if the foul was not called there. Mark Rodic, the offender. As Berry goes over the top in search of O'Brien, and the ball's going to get to him. Kresnar in support. Other than that, it's slim pickings for Blacktown. They're almost set up to anticipate a long throw here. Grant Lynch just coming in to offer some support, but other than that, there's 5 men in and around the penalty area. Kresnar unable to keep it in on that occasion. And St George's pressure will be rather telling in this one. It's going to take a lot to prevent a Blacktown side who are happy on their home patch in recent weeks, despite, of course, the week before last, Manly United managing to snatch a point late. The very end of proceedings in that one. Last week back to winning ways at Landon, and as I mentioned in the week, their win against League One opposition in UNSW 3-0 in the Cup. Lynch gets away from Poon. Only just, as that pressure continues. Kresnar looking for the searching header on. And it was all on Cito getting the bounce right there, otherwise Malia would have been away. Instead, Danaskos can take it down the left. Lovely searching ball for Poon. Is it going to reach him? Grant Lynch more fortunate with the bounce. Caligari with the throw. It's a short one. Retains it back from Casella. And they're going to calm things down again quickly here, St George. So 10 minutes gone if you're just joining us. In fact, 11 now we've elapsed here at Landon. It's Blacktown 0, St George 0, as a ball comes over the top for Mitch Malia that he's going to pluck out of the sky with some skill. Unfortunately, no reward for that quick, brilliant play from Blacktown there. Pat O'Shea searching for the run of Poon. He's going to get a second chance at it with Casella there in the middle to aid him. But Blacktown come away with it. It's Fernandez who has Kresnar on his left. Instead chooses to cut inside, which probably wasn't the best option. As Pat O'Shea grabs the ball, but we have a stoppage here as Casella's down. The physio's called on. Just for a quick check-up and an impromptu drinks break for some. It's cooled down a little bit here at Landon. Earlier on, upwards of 28, 29 degrees. It can get hot on this surface. But these players will definitely still take the opportunity to have a drinks break wherever it's afforded them. It's going to be a big ask for the 22 on the park today. Casella hobbles off here. It's going to be interesting to see just what the knock is. I don't doubt his day's not done. He'll be back on as soon as possible, but looking very ginger in the early stages. Oh, and that's poorly given away. Mitch Malia can hit one from afar. Nothing doing. Well, when you see the ball at the feet of Mitch Malia, you think about all the possibilities. That was probably, unfortunately, the most lackluster of the lot. Trickles out past the right-hand post. And we're still at 0-0 somehow. As both sides would have been keen to get an early goal here, but just getting a feeler for each other instead. It's Bay Antonio trying to get away from Berry down the left, and he's able to accrue a foul in the meaning. Confirmation of that goal from Sydney United, 58, coming from Pratsinia. Pratazina, my apologies. Hopefully the only pronunciation butchered today as we continue proceedings here at Landon. St George pressing with meaning here. Antonio looks lateral. It's able to be claimed by Henderson. And Fernandez now can bring it up. If he's got enough men that are going to advance with him, this could bear some fruit for Blacktown. A 1-2 with Major that leaves him having to run a bit too far. The former in Fernandez. He's back now with Cito. Tanascos looks inside. Casella is back on, and all well and good, but he's won another foul here. Blacktown not happy with the awarding of that one. I must mention, apologies for not doing so already, but Gorovica Kovic as your centre referee today, Travis Griffith, Arinath Govinath as your assistants, Liam Smith your fourthie, and that completes your officials here at Landon this afternoon. And as I said prior about Mitch Malia, Casella's now got his boot next to this one, and he'll be thinking of all the possibilities that are in his locker. Shaping up to go direct. Standing over this one is Jaden Casella. Into the hands of Henderson. And he's involved in another mammoth challenge there, but St George still benefit from it. Antonio goes into the box. No one able to get ahead of Lynch and Cressnar, namely Poon. Well, you can tell who Blacktown have said is one of the target men to watch out for. All bodies on the line when it comes to locking down Jaden Casella. Gingerly picks himself up again. Poon wins out on that occasion. It's going to fall back to the Saints' backline regarding Cito. Casella's going to need to put a little bit more effort in to get in front and get that one. Unable to do so, it's O'Brien who clears into the stands of Landon. Lovely turn from Danascos to set himself. We've got two balls on the field here. That's now been rectified. Play goes on from Rodic. The help of Calagero. He gets it back off Poon, who plays and runs down the right, but it's not played into him. Now Antonio again looking to excite. Danascos back centrally to Caden Wright, who's been urged to have a ping. It does so, but it's only hit a Blacktown body. Mitch Malia now has the opportunity to bring it up. Does so with a long overhead boot. And it goes against O'Brien on that occasion, which he is not happy about. A flailing arm, perhaps. The call from Kovic for that one. Here's Suris. Laterally to Cito, who finds Danaskos down the left. Looks to play in Casella, who's come out second best again. The offside flag up on this one, so a few seconds afforded to him to pick himself up. Third or fourth time he's hit the deck now, Casella. Lynch being pressured now. This one's going to be tricky for him to deal with the likes of Henderson around him attempting to help. But that's all they can muster up, Blacktown. I've mentioned it a couple times now, but this press from St George is very, very intriguing. All bodies on the line very early on. Even just at the top of their defensive half. Suarez now finds Casella. He's going to try and get out of that gap. He's got Poon to help him out. Grant Lynch gets a foot in. And the experience shows. And Mitchell Malia, as we continue that sentence, brings it down the left. O'Brien's going to lose out to Cito on that occasion. Back it is with Daniel Axford, who will be happy with a clean sheet last week, as the Saints hosted Central Coast, as mentioned earlier. Feels like every time you've seen them play, it's been away from Barton Park this season, but when they've been at home, they've gotten the job done on recent occasions. Otherwise, some fantastic away results. Not least the derby win against St George City a couple of weeks back in our match of the round. Here's Berry. Calls for the assistance of Lynch. Kressnar is going to look for that run from O'Brien. He has picked him out. It's going to be a challenge for O'Brien to keep it in, but he does so. No help around him, though, and that one's going to be a tricky one for Kovic. It's a goal kick, he calls. But even here in the fortunate position, we have slap bang in the middle and elevated above the turf. That was a tricky one to figure out who the last touch came off. Perhaps it looks clearer on the cameras as you watch on the Football New South Wales YouTube channel. We thank you again for your company as we approach the 20-minute mark in this one. Still 0-0, still a deadlock between Blacktown and St George on your Sunday afternoon of NPL Men's New South Wales action in round 10. Completing another goal-filled round. They've lost the ball here, Blacktown. They've gained it back, though, through Lynch, who plays up to Mitch Malia. Nothing doing on that occasion, but enticing that so much could have come out of so little. Suris, this is good. Quick play from Snell. Suris again. Urged to look for the switch. Instead, he'll drive through. 4 or 5. It's Berry who wins out, and Major's got it now. Down on the left. Just ushering off his man, which he's done very, very well again to do so. Fernandez over to Malia. He's going to wait and look to go back into the middle, unable to do so. He might have a second pop at it here. Cito loses out on that occasion. Another one goes against Blacktown. One or two defensive movements more benefiting of Mitch Malia there, and who knows, the net could be bulging. Seen him do it time and time again in this competition. After his return to football, he has been an exciting player and some to watch in this league. We're without changes in the scorelines of the other two games as well. Sydney United still leading Rockdale 1-0 at Adenza Park. And the Battle of the Southerners still a deadlock as well in Wollongong. As Blacktown search for the opener here, it's Berry. Lays off to O'Brien, receives it back. Lynch is brought into the play. Campbell, you thought was going to look for the diagonal ball. Instead chooses against it. Fernandez with a heavy touch, loses out on that one. And Poon can bring it up with the help of Casella. He set him free on the right. Blacktown players urgently get back, but there's far too much space afforded to Danaskos on the left, who himself is unable to get a solidified touch on it. He's got it now, though, as the Saints recover. As do Blacktown, bringing men back. Casella again. Can he wiggle some further room for himself? He can, but it trickles ahead of Poon. And the only one winning out on that occasion is Henderson, who will pick the ball up. It's good looking build-up play from St George. It can happen in an instant, as we've seen so many times, as so many sides so far this season have been stunned by. As the clouds begin to clear above us and the sun really poking out now onto the field of Landon. Kresnar's set free on the left. Options in the box, but the ability to cut in on his right as well. That's the option he chooses, but there's a little foot in there that is able to give St George back possession. It's Caligari who does so, but eventually it doesn't go his way. Nick O'Brien. Out to the skipper, Travis Major. Patience again on this one from Blacktown. Berry goes back to the back line to Campbell. And a ball like that can come into the box immediately out of nothing. Arguably should have bared more fruit for O'Brien if his run was a little bit more to the right. Instead, St George come away with it. Few touches now for Axford to adjust himself. Out it goes again to Caligari. Now Casella. He's got two Blacktown men around him, and those are the ones that win out in the 1v2 battle. Back it goes to Henderson, who would have had to steady himself for that one, as Poon again applied the pressure. Kresnar urging his players to move. He looks over the top in search of Malia, who's unable to get a touch to take it down. He is now, though, as Cito loses out. It's Travis Major looking for options. Goes centrally to Adam Berry. Touchdown by O'Brien. Requires assistance to get it into the box. Kresnar was going to win out on that one, if not for Daniel Axford getting highest. And Bay Antonio has space to move here. Plenty of space. Poon plays him into now. Back they come into the middle third through Casella. Pat O'Shea goes left to Cito. Where to now? Where does the gap open up for St George? Danaskos tries to find it with Antonio's help down the right. Down the left, rather, as Poon putting pressure on Kresnar again. But Caligari will be forced to start the next phase of play from a throw-in. Soris urged to turn because of the space that he has in front of him, which he utilises to full effect. It's back with him now on the left. Now Antonio, who goes first time, comfortably into the hands of Henderson. They're pushing, they're probing St George. Looking for another result away from home. Here's Antonio. Almost came back to him there as Casella wins out now. Centrally only finds Grant Lynch. And O'Brien has the chance to clear for Blacktown. Mitch Marlier down the left. Looks for the ball to trouble those in the St. George backline, namely Cito, who still manages to win out against Fernandez, who frustratedly sees the offside flag go up anyway. A lot of talk from the Saints bench to Justin Poon, who they really want to utilise in that front third. Get the most out of him and make sure he is locking down those that can entice on that side for Blacktown. Namely Mitch Marlier, who has drifted into a position where their opposite numbers will be meeting each other a fair bit across the park. Antonio, now Poon, set away. Oh, it's 1-0. Well, we were talking about his efforts in locking down Blacktown's attackers. Instead, it's Justin Poon who immediately opens the scoring. Saints have the goal that their last few minutes of pressure definitely deserves. Fabs Michelli and his bench will be happy with that one. The instructions to Justin Poon pay off as they take the lead. On your Sunday afternoon, here on the Football New South Wales YouTube channel, it is Blacktown City 0, St George FC 1, courtesy of Justin Poon. And the opening half hour closes out with Saints taking the lead. How things change in the minds of Blacktown now. All those balls into the box. Have to make sure they're getting right now. Danaskos not getting that one right from a St George persuasion. Well, you're most vulnerable after you've just gone ahead. So if Blacktown can make the most of this attack, we could be back where we started. Campbell and Major playing head tennis that eventually reaches the Blacktown backline. Now space afforded to Berry. Looks to his left to Kresnar, who's ever reliable for him on the left. Berry goes into the box, but it's going to be a St George boot that gets there first, and Poon has it back at his feet again. And that has been exciting so far. It continues to be as he drives centrally. Plays in Casella on the right, who's going to bring it towards the 6-yard box. Look again laterally, and unfortunately for St George, no one there to tap it home. And it would have been a very deserved bit of breathing room had that one gone in. Lovely bit of play to make space where it wasn't even there. St George are looking dangerous in the final 15 minutes of the opening stanza here. Coming into this one, if my stats are correct, it's the first time that St George have scored against Blacktown in this competition for many a year. Last results between these two, 2nd of June last year, Blacktown took out a 3-0 win here at Landon. A 0-0 draw in February in the reverse fixture. Other than that, you have to go back to 2014 for the last time these two played each other. Blacktown winning out 2-0 on both occasions that year. If it's to be a year where St George do rewrite the script, then they are well on their way to doing so with the amount of teams that they have intrigued, enticed, scared and defeated. Blacktown won't say it's all said and done just yet. Plenty of time to go as the ball comes in. Lynch rises highest. Unable to convert goalwards. Daniel Axford will be happy to get a few more seconds in the legs there to retrieve the ball somewhere other than his own net. As Grant Lynch misses the target and Blacktown are looking for answers. Here's Danaskos. Lovely turn. And wins out against O'Brien. Fabio Michelli will be very, very happy with the way that the Saints have controlled, to be honest, not even just before and after the goal around that last 10 minutes or so, but most of proceedings thus far. Blacktown have had a couple of sniffs, but unable to make the most out of it. Danaskos as they control the play in their back line. Axford goes long. A chance for Campbell to regain possession for Blacktown, which he has done. Travis Major looking for support. Again, Justin Poon shutting down that option. He has been everywhere so far this afternoon. And we might have ticked over 50 times of me calling his name here in comms. It's back at the feet of Axford now. Invites pressure. Able to get it out. Kovic says nothing doing on that occasion. O'Brien's able to bring it forward here. Now Major, and he does have that avenue of Kressnar now on the left. But who else? Kressnar tries to beat his man. Eventually does so. Plays it into the box, and the header is in. 2 in 2 weeks for O'Brien. This one from closer range, but just as meaningful as Blacktown get on the board for the day. And the commentator's curse, talking about St George's pressure, affording them the lead, is wiped out in an instant. And we are back where we started with 10 minutes left in the opening stanza. Lovely play, enterprising, awaiting. Made it happen, waited for St George to fall asleep a little bit and not anticipate the run of O'Brien, who centrally heads home to make it Blacktown 1, St George 1 in the 35th minute of proceedings here in round 10. And now we have goals across the board. Except for down there in Wollongong, where it is still goalless between the Wolves and the Sharks. Long they go down the right. Nothing doing on that occasion, and St George now will be thinking how they've let their early lead slip. Of course, so much time still left in this one, but where they looked solid, still broken down. And it's allowing pressure and allowing equalisers of the sort where you're on top and in control that sometimes leave teams wondering where it goes wrong in seasons. They'll be hoping to stamp letting the likes of a Blacktown back in throughout their season in the last two thirds. Here's Casella. Suris. Charged down by his opposite number, but still manages to get it away. Now it's with Danaskos. Looks for the ball through, and what a ball through it is. And how unfortunate is Casella on that occasion. Standing tall is Henderson and those at the Blacktown backline. Kovic arguably getting in the way of that one, so Blacktown able to bring it forward. Not too many men inside their attacking half just yet as they recover. Kresnar right on the edge again if they want to go for the switch, but now it's with Berry. Back it goes to Axford, who's got to be careful here. Distributes well under the pressured circumstances. Now Grant Lynch. Back to Travis Major. Now Fernandez, who's going to look for that run of Kresnar, unable to find him. It's back with Lynch again as they probe in the middle of the park. Just waiting for something to happen, as they did for their equaliser. It could happen down the right for them here as the O'Briens combine. Out it goes again to Nicky. In the middle it goes. Fernandez is there. He's going to have to take a touch to settle himself here. Travis Major plays it off. Calls of a handball. Nothing doing, says Kovic and his assistants. Back out wide it goes to Brian, who whips in again. Incredible recovery. Where Axford originally dropped it. Mark Rodic making sure that Blacktown aren't fully reversing the fortunes in this tie just yet. As the complaints continue between the Blacktown bench and the officials. Of course, natural position will be the reason that was not awarded, but they won't like it. As the corner's whipped in. Can they get two quick goals on the head? They can't, as Axford is going to pop it on the edge of the 6-yard box. And St George, while they won't be satisfied, they'll at least be relieved on that one. Bay Antonio now with space to roam. As is the man in front of him in Caden Wright. And Casella goes from way downtown. And St George retake the lead in some style. It's the measure of the man and his talents that Jaden Casella can pull something like that out of nothing. And the Saints are back in the lead. How quickly games like this can change. Just when you think that the hosting Blacktown City could have had a sniff to make it 2-1, their visitors go and do just that. And it's Jaden Casella with a looping finish that makes it St George FC 2, Blacktown City 1 with 5 to play in the opening stanza. And the two St George goals have rather hit me by surprise, as they would have done to Mark Crittenden's Blacktown. But lo and behold, that's the position we find ourselves in here as the 41st minute elapses. O'Brien with a big swing at that one, loses out. Major plays a ball just into his position, but he's unable to recover in time to get there for it. Lovely ball over the top as we reassess that goal from Wright that reached Casella. And a cheeky dink is all it takes for a side who's in class at the minute like St George are. Two-1 they lead, and if you're Blacktown, what are you thinking about what could happen in the second stanza of this one? They've got the ability, they've got the talent, and they know how to lock St George down as they've tried to do. But it's a new look St George that is very hard to get used to for defending sides in this league as they continue to excite. Here they come again. It's the goal scorer, Casella. Now Antonio looks for Casella, and that is beautiful play to set Antonio away down the right-hand side as he looks for someone laterally. Indeed, Casella makes the run. Unable to add a second in recent minutes to his tally. Approaching the edge of the 6-yard box there, just unable to get a sniff ahead of the Blacktown defence that would be rather stunned with how quickly St George have been able to spike them again. Plenty of space here on the right, which they drive into now. O'Shea, over the top it goes, but Henderson will claim this one. You wonder what's going through his mind, having been lobbed in that fashion from Casella. Mark Crittenden's half-time team talk might be one we're able to hear from here in the gantry. Lynch plays in Kresnar. He's got 4 men in front of him. One of them not needing to do too much to lock down Fernandez. Namely Rodic, who indeed does have that task to do eventually. Kresnar whips it into the box, but no one there for Blacktown. And they are looking frazzled. Henderson plays out to O'Brien. Not long left in this opening stanza here on the Football New South Wales YouTube channel. NPL Men's New South Wales Round 10 action, which St George lead away at Blacktown 2-1. But as we've seen with those goals early, that scoreline could change in an instant, whether you're ready for it or not. Don't stop watching this one, folks. Keep your eyes glued to the screen. We appreciate your company. We're set up for a very exciting second half. Still moments to play in this opening stanza, though. As the 4th official prepares to raise his board as the 45th minute ticks over. Before then, Casella has it back again. Suris slips. Instead, Malia wins out. Danaskos does beautifully to get away from O'Brien. And calls in the help of Bay Antonio. Going down in the process as they play the 1-2. Looking ginger off of that one. So 2 minutes left in this one to start us off at Landon. Without trying to sound like a broken record, what a second half it is going to be. Blacktown will not be in any position to let that goal from J.D. Casella be the decider in this one. Point to prove here at Landon, where again, as I referenced pre-game, they have not lost in all competitions since round 2. O'Brien drives inward, only finds Danaskos. It's back with Fernandez. O'Brien. Now it's with Malia. Plays it off to Major. It's just too far away from him. Kresnar takes on his man. Sends one into the box again. O'Brien's able to get it back lateral. But no one there. And Berry goes back. To his namesake. It's whipped in again, but to no avail again for Blacktown, who will need a spark at half-time. Two sides that we know have excited so much so far this season, and indeed in their histories in this competition. Whenever they're hot on their heels. Kresnar has taken it down beautifully here. Be well inclined to have a ping himself. Does so, but to no avail. And that'll be the bit of action that takes us into the half-time interval. as St George will take to the sheds here at Landon, the happier of the two. 2-1 they lead. It's Jaden Casella with a beautiful chip that has afforded them just that. And as I said before, Crittenden will be looking for answers. It's a deflated-looking Blacktown that leaves the field as we enter the half-time interval. Blacktown City 1, St George FC 2. Welcome back to the action at Landon Stadium, where the hosting Blacktown City find themselves behind at the break. It's St George FC, thanks to goals from Poon and Casella in some style, that have them pegged back at 2-1. A position that they haven't been in a good while. Leading at home, taking results wherever afforded to them since round 2, as I mentioned in the pre-game. A 4-0 loss to Spirit, the last time that Blacktown tasted defeat at home in all competitions so far this campaign. It's Jude Dolan here with you for the second stanza of New South Wales men's round 10 action, as National Premier League's action continues across the country for this massive year of 2025. No changes at the break by the looks of things for either side. Don't fix what's not broke. Very much the case for the starting 11s of the last couple of weeks for these two sides, who will be happy with the results that they've picked up in the recent weeks. Again, we referenced in the pre-game just how much these two sides have the ability to entice, and they have done so. Some fantastic goals, finishes, pegging back other sides, tasting a bit of that as well themselves, as we saw, of course, with Blacktown's match here against Manly 2 weeks ago. Looking comfortable for the points there they were that day, but Manly leaving with one of them. Blacktown will be hoping for all three now, and a big second stanza from men like this, their skipper and major. Entrusting the help of Berry through the middle. Now Nick O'Brien. Malia leaves it for him. That's beautiful work. Danaskos wins out. Calls for a foul. Unaided. As it's Ben Berry with the work to do here as Casella chases. Fast start to the second half. Much different to that of the opening stanza, where both sides felt each other out a little bit. I referenced at halftime, just before we broke off air, just what that halftime talk would have been like from Mark Crittenden, who will not let this one slide. A goal in that style, a cheeky chip from Jaden Casella, making the most of Henderson advancing off his line. As they look to level here, it's into O'Brien, who may well be doing that, if not for a raised flag from the assistant. Not too sure exactly what the offence is there. Perhaps an offside. I didn't exactly see the motion made by the assistant referee, but whatever the offence, Blacktown is still one down. Jack O'Brien does not have a third in 2 games. Berry boots long in search of Malia, but it only finds Danaskos. The St George skipper, who passionately leads this Saints side to what should be a big season if they can continue by the standards they've set themselves. They'll be very happy with the way that they have enticed this league and surprised so many, as I mentioned earlier in the first half. Bay Antonio now in the middle of the park. Arguably the signing of the off-season. How much fruit has that move bared for him and for St George? Both parties benefiting just as much. Bay Antonio getting away from an uncomfortable position he was in at Rockdale, where it didn't really feel like he was given the ability to shine. Hard to do just that when you've got the likes of Alek Urasevsky alongside you, taking centre stage. But he's got the chance to do it now here for the Saints. Casella's kept it in. It's going to trickle through the box. Unable to be met by a Saints foot in the middle. Blacktown regroup, and it's Travis Major who can run. Plays in Malia down the right. It's a very, very, very good battle by Cito in the Saints defence, who wins out. And the tension is well and truly up here at Landon. Words between Danaskos and Crittenden. Crittenden looking very, very puzzled as to some of the decision-making, but can't say that it hasn't made for a tantalising fixture. And an intriguing last 40 minutes or so here, as round 10 concludes. in this wonderful, weird, wacky season where so much already has made headlines. Antonio brings it forward. Nothing doing from the ball from Caligiero to help. And just confirming indeed, no changes at the break for either side. As far as the eye can see, both happy with the 11 that's out there. Here's Sito. O'Shea. Danaskos. Suris given the ability to turn. A little bit of space, not much of it, but enough to work with for a man like him. In the middle of the park, Danaskos makes a charging run forward, but loses out. It's unable to reach him, and Campbell comes away with it for Blacktown with the help of Fernandez, who can drive forward here. O'Brien to his left, Malia, who's played in on his right. Can he get the touch ahead of Sito? He can. In the middle it goes. It's going to be a hard one for any side to grasp. But it's Daniel Axford who wins out at this one. And they are looking far more purposeful in the final third than they were in the last stages of that opening half. Are the hosts, but the same can be said for St George, who were looking good at the end of the first half. Looking just as good here with that man, 19-year-old Justin Poon, who's going to have a pop. But it's only going to go as far as Kalen Henderson. So the 51st minute is what we're in now. Blacktown City trailing by 2-1 at home to a St George FC side who before today had never scored against Blacktown City in NPL Men's New South Wales competition. They've got 2 with still so much time to play. That move breaks down. The Saints are able to come away with it again through Poon. Help from Casella, who was in an illegal position. And Blacktown can breathe at the end of that attack. Let's go elsewhere as we settle into the second stanza. Actually, let's do that in a second because Travis Major's away here. Down the left-hand side for the Demons. Helped up by Kresnar, who gets that ball into the box. Fernandez's head was the first in line to meet it. But St George again get it away. And another decision goes against the hosting City. And we'll take this moment to breathe to bring you news from Wollongong Wolves versus Sutherland Sharks, where there's been a red card. Not sure to... Not trying to play my best Chris Kamara impression on commentary debut, but it's a 1-0 lead to the Wolves. Through Scott as the 64th minute elapses there. Still 1-0 to Sydney United as they host Rockdale Illingdon at Adenta Park. And here we find ourselves in the prospect of St George surprising again. You get to a point as the winter months approach us oh so quickly, it must be said. How it's round 10 already, I have no idea. But we'll leave that conversation aside as there's plenty more to talk about. We'll face the fact that we're here and the fact that through these winter months it's going to become far less of a surprise that St George can pull out some great performances and play some attractive football. We've already seen shock factors in this league thus far this season. Northwest Sydney Spirit, one of those. We knew they had the talents with David Perkovic and the men that he's got available to him. But how they have surprised. Can Blacktown surprise St George here? As it comes into the box, it's deep to O'Brien, or at least searching for him. Unable to find him. Malia goes for the bicycle. And unfortunately, the hype around that falls flat. Would have set this ground alight. A Mitchell Malia equalising bicycle would have set up one tasty last half hour, that is for sure. He'll no doubt try it again sometime this season, I'm sure of that. We've seen him surprise before. Pat O'Shea now for St George. Out to Poon. Antonio entrusting in the help of the midfield again. Danaskos lays it off really beautifully, gains it back. Plays one in search of Poon, but it's going to reach Kresnar, I believe, before it gets to him, and Blacktown have it again. The aforementioned Mitch Malia. Searching ball to Fernandez, who has not had much luck so far this afternoon. Kresnar finds him on the left. He looks central. O'Brien's going to try and get his head in front of it again. Unable to on this occasion. As Kresnar carries it again. He'll go alone and he'll find Travis Major, if not for Mark Rodic getting in the way. The Saints will be the first to make a substitution. We're hearing the bench prepare one. Looks like it's going to be Caden Wright off. As Blacktown whip one into the box again, just over O'Brien's head that time. Back it goes to Ben Berry, and that one bears no fruit at all. It's going to be Sunday Yona by the looks of things for St George to enter proceedings. And they'll utilise this out to make that change. Done well has Caden Wright. The assist playing it through for Casella to make it 2-1, which is where we still find ourselves as Sunday Yona enters the fray. What effect can that man have in the last half hour here at Landon? Nine appearances so far this season for the Saints from Sunday Yona. Majority off the bench though. One goal so far in his first season at Barton Park. Previously of Hills, Western Sydney Wanderers Academy, Bulls FC Academy. It's a decent NPL CV thus far for Sunday Yona at 22 years of age. By Antonio. Lovely attempt to find him from Pat O'Shea, but Kresnar's able to get there first. Here he is, Sunday Yona. And this is lovely play from St George now. It's opened up for Antonio down the right. Who has he got in the middle? He's got two options, but it's too far ahead of both. On the edge of the box is Troy Danaskos, but the whistle is going to prevent any fruit coming from that one. He set himself up. And the hosting Blacktown are going to counter that Sunday Yona change from St George with two changes of their own. It's Danny Choi and Jared McKinley who are going to come on. And they'll take this opportunity while the offside flag comes up and prevents Jaden Casella, who was through and did net, from adding a third for the Saints. It'll be Fernandez's day who ends. Danny Choi on in his place. And other than that, it is Benjamin Berry, who is off for Jared McKinley. So half an hour left here at Landon. course, we're in daylight saving, so you'll see that sun start to set before we're done here. You can see the shade coming over, assisting us on this side. Not those watching from the grandstand, that's for sure. Blacktown bring it down the left. And very fortunate, if I may say so. St. George being able to clear that one through Caliguero. A couple of inches, and that one would have been away from his foot. And there definitely would have been City players waiting to pounce in the middle of the box. There are again here as Choi delivers, and O'Brien has got another one. His scoring boots are on. A 3rd and 2, and Blacktown are level at home. And as I mentioned at the opening parts of this stanza, they were not going to sit down and let that Jalen Casella goal at the end of the first half be the decider here. Blacktown 2, St. George 2. And with the fresh legs just brought on from both sides and those already on the park looking to excite us more, we are set for a very, very tantalising last 29 minutes of play here. Beautiful positioning from O'Brien. Right place, right time with the drifting move in the middle of the box. And St. George are pegged back. And it is the most goals we've seen in this fixture since the 23rd of February 2014. Where in a pre-season clash, Blacktown put 5 on St. George. No answer that day, but this one far more even. What can St. George do now? Namely this man, Bay Antonio, who starts to bring it up. It's going to be challenged by Malia. Kovic has to step out of the way of it as they drive through the middle. Soros to Sito. Soros understandably drives forward, playing far deeper than he would have liked to be. Danaskos looks forward for Poon. But before then, an immediate call for the Blacktown physios. Not exactly sure who it was that's gone down there. In fact, I am now. It is said goal scorer, Jack O'Brien. Two for the afternoon to accompany the belter last week against Sutherland. Started every game as you'd expect this season for Blacktown. It's going to take a lot to get him off the park, so as you'd expect, he's back up to his feet here. A little bit of an assessment on the sideline, and I'm sure he'll be back amongst the action. Meanwhile, it's with the Saints. And Souris again. Lovely ball to split play. And Sunday Yona's got space here. If he can get past Kresnar, which he does by driving on his left. Antonio. Caliguero unable to help, and now he's out of position. And Blacktown have stretched St. George here. Travis Major drives forward with purpose. It's Danny Choi on the left. It's another ball across, but this time, unless Jack O'Brien is 10 foot tall, it's not going to find him as he re-enters proceedings. And it goes for a Saints throw, which Danaskos takes, retrieves back from, tries to clear, but straight back to those in the Saints backline it is. Now they're worried these last few minutes, that's for sure. Now it's with McKinley, whose name I haven't said too much as he's just welcome to proceedings. Getting involved now though, as the wind starts to pick up here at Landon this afternoon. Another beautiful afternoon in the early months of the NPL Men's New South Wales season. It will get colder and worse than this, that's for sure. But on park, it's only going to get more and more exciting as it gets more meaningful. Pat O'Shea tries to play a ball across to open space, which finds Antonio. And if not for being shunned off it by the run of Henderson, Justin Poon was in again there. It's another long searching ball, this time from McKinley. And Danny Choi is going to win out on this occasion. Now it's with Adamberry. Be well inclined to have a ping from there. He doesn't do so. McKinley, the last Blacktown player to get a touch, but it'll stay in thanks to Danaskos, who will again just look upfield. Casella runs onto it, but it is completely sensibly dealt with by Nicky O'Brien. Grant Lynch driving through the middle. Plays in Jack O'Brien, who turns provider, looking deep. It will stay in play, if not for Caligiru. Getting a big boot to it, which if you put a little bit more force on that, could have hit the Landon grandstand. Instead it does indeed stay in play. Grant Lynch there with the help of Danny Choi, who goes direct! And it requires the best of Daniel Axford, who with his cap on, trying to bat away the Seven Hills sun, still gets a good palm to that one, and all that City will get is a corner from it. 65 gone. Blacktown City at home in their all-black strip find themselves at 2 apiece with St George in the white. What can they do from this corner here? It's a floater into the box, and again, Axford wins out. Getting up tallest. And Jaden Casella will have to do well here to win it away from Cresnar and Berry, which indeed he has done. Danaskos is going to look diagonal in search of Sunday Yona, who was just a slip from Nick O'Brien away from being through on goal there. Another chance as play slows down to take a look at what has happened around the grounds. Well, there's been goals aplenty in this one. There's another one at Adenza Park, as those two, Sydney United and Rockdale, are 1 apiece. It is Rockdale who have managed to get on the board. Goal scorer still to be confirmed. But when we get it, we will report it. Casella looks for Yona, who, as Grant Lynch retreats, has got far too much space in front of him. Evan Suris has a ping, much to the intrigue of those behind me on the benches here watching on the St George 20s that know he can hit one. Scored many an important goal. When he finds the back of the net, it is with purpose for St George. One off the top of the dome last year at home against Olympic as they reopened Barton Park. But now it's Blacktown who look promising. Mitch Malia, foot on the ball to stop as Danaskos goes past him. Can't reach Major with that one. It's up into the air, and Grant Lynch has done incredibly well to take that one down. That's the experience showing right there and then. McKinley to O'Brien. Now Campbell, who's going to sit and wait for runs. Indeed, he sees one, and it is Jack O'Brien on the right. He's got the chance to bring it down, but Danaskos isn't going to let him get too much further. Clears well. It's a throw-in again for Blacktown City. And by the looks of the way that McKinley's approaching this one, he's going to want to go deep in the box. That is what he tries. And despite that sun, St George do get a touch on it. McKinley Reid delivers. Oh, it's a beautiful header by Major. Wasn't expecting him to get full contact on that one. Nor, I suspect, was St George, but he did so, and it was caught by Axford well. You can hear the instruction from Fabio Michelli for St George to keep the ball. They have not done that. It's back with Campbell. Danny Choi has the chance to run through the middle here. He's got the help of Mitch Malia to his left. And it looked like he was going direct there, but the deflection took all the sting out of it, and that deflection was illegal. Handball rightly called. And this is an exciting one for Mitch Malia to be standing behind. As we enter the last 20 minutes of play here, if a Mitch Malia goal from a free kick is going to be the decider, I'm all for it. Hope you've enjoyed the coverage thus far here on the Football New South Wales YouTube channel. The wall sets. As O'Brien, Campbell and Major make the most of a little drinks break and a chat to Crittenden, assessing what to do in this last 20 minutes. As mentioned, it's a challenge that they haven't really faced before us in George side with this much strength. But it has been exciting to watch how it plays out as these two ever-exciting sides this season go up against each other. Malia awaits the whistle. He does have the help of O'Brien, but it looks like it might be Mitch Marley who goes direct. Indeed it is. Mitch Malia straight into the wall. Blacktown will take just a corner from it. Danny Choi been very involved, as you'd expect since coming on. He takes the corner here. He's got the help of Nick O'Brien short. Otherwise, every Blacktown man, bar McKinley and Cressnar, and of course Henderson, are in the middle. It's low. It's only going to meet the first gate, which is Bay Antonio. Still bobbling around. Calls of handball. Back out to Danny Choi it goes. He'll have the chance to re-deliver. Instead he goes to Berry beautifully, who dinks it in, and it's only going to meet a St. George head again. Danaskos, I believe, if not mistaken, the skipper. Another corner goes Blacktown's way, but nothing more than that just yet. St. George are preparing another substitute. It's going to be Thomas Dunn. The ball comes in. Grant Lynch is being tugged there by Calagaru, unable to win out. No calls of a foul on that one. And they called for a sub there, but nothing doing as St. George are faced with having to maintain Blacktown again before making that change. Danny Choi plays through a Mitch Malia that has to compete with Sito, but loses out despite the protests. By Antonio. That one was tricky for Souris, but he's managed to get it out of his feet. And St. George can drive through meaningfully here again. It's back with Souris. And if you are Fabs Michelli, I don't know what your game plan is, but you look at the players that you will need to take off the park to afford space to Tom Dunn here on the change. Who do you take off? Because everyone looks keen for the last 20 minutes of this one. It's back with Axford. Out to O'Shea. Calagaru. And back to Axford. He goes long. Casella's got a challenge there with Campbell. He wins out. And Jonas sets him away. Only man tracking is the one that wins out. It's Nicholas O'Brien. And there is room for that substitute to be made. And it is Justin Poon. What a shift from him. The opening goal of proceedings. And some efforts outside of that. And the other 21 players on the park will be happy that I'll stop saying his name, because I've been needing to say it oh so much with the amount he's been involved. Justin Poon makes way for Thomas Dunn. As the ball comes in now. Oh, it was only an inch away from hitting Danaskos there if set free. Danny Choi is, though, through the middle. Malia with an enterprising run. It's unable to reach him. As Choi chooses to go left to Berry. Now he's got options. Major looks in the middle where Choi continued his run, but was unable to be met. Here's Lynch. Wins out against Sunday Yona, who was a bit too forceful with that one. Another substitute. This time coming from the hosts. Ball comes in, Major unable to get too much of a header on it. It's still there with Lynch though. Waits for options to approach, which he finds in Kressner. Oh! And how that one has escaped Travis Major, I do not know. Inches would be an overstatement. Nothing at all in that between Travis Major, his foot and the ball, which just trickled in front of him. Evan Souris will make way for St George. A great shift from him. It's Campbell who makes way for Blacktown as Jez comes on. And for St George, it's Javier Rodriguez who enters the fray. 15 minutes left in this one. If there is to be a winner, who will it be? Evenly poised are Blacktown and St George. The ball comes in now towards Danny Choi, who looks for options in the middle. No one there immediately. O'Brien is on the follow-up, and is Malia. And it is that man who it reaches. And Blacktown City, despite all of St George's pressure, are ahead in the latter stages of this one. No surprises that man's effort afforded him a spot on the score sheet. But Mitchell Malia puts St George in a possession where they are chasing it. Once again, as Blacktown remain assertive at home. Right on cue as we wondered who the winner was going to be in this one. It now swings Blacktown's way again. He's good at what he is, that Mitch Malia, in that he is a footballer that you can always rely on when he's in your squad. And he's always been good at what he does. Another goal for Mitch Malia in Blacktown City colours. St George don't know where to look now as they chase it again. His 5th goal of the campaign, Mitch Malia. But I shouldn't sound so surprised that tally continues. More changes. Mark Crittenden is confirming. The St George now will look to not let this one get too far away from them. You know they've got it in them. That is for sure. So 2 more changes for the hosting Demons. They've only just been afforded the ability to do such. It's Jacob Beniti and Keanu Moore who will enter proceedings, and it is that man, the goal scorer. For the first 2, Jack O'Brien, who makes way. And indeed, in fact, it would be both goal scorers. Mitch Malia has done all he can in this one, as it's left to Keanu Moore to enter proceedings for the last 11 here, and hope to hand Blacktown 3 precious points as we finish off the first third of the regular season. Maxim Jez immediately involved, doing very well down the right-hand side. He's caught in a tangle there with Javier Rodriguez. 2 subs combined. No one wins out. Danaskos will take the free kick. as we take this opportunity to go back around the grounds, while Wollongong, while they were down a man with a red card, have given themselves oh so much comfort. It is 3-0 to the Wolves. Still 1-1 at Sydney United Sports Centre between 58 and Rockdale. But as for here, St George will be looking to make sure it's 3-3. At the very least, as Sunday Yona presses into the box. It's dealt with by Moore, who's got Antonio to contest with, but wins out the fresh legs of Keanu Moore, who now provides the answer for St George, where this is arguably the most action that they've seen in their attacking half in a good while. Thomas Dunn unable to reach Casella with that one as the frustrations grow on the Budapest bench. Back it is again to Antonio. If it is to open up for them in this last 10, you don't doubt that it'll be that man that's involved. For a 6th in 7, if I'm not mistaken. As it stands, Blacktown 3, St George 2. 81st minute just elapsing now at Landon. What an afternoon of football we've seen here in Seven Hills. Now it comes through for Sunday Yona, only just, if not, to be met by the Blacktown skipper and opposite number, Travis Major, who plays up to Maxim Jez right on the touchline. Out of play it goes. Mark Rogic plays back to Axford. Well, Blacktown will be happy with the way they responded to the pressure that St George put on them. 2-1 down at the interval. Assertive second stanza, as you'd expect from them. It's not done yet, but they are best placed at the minute. Berry's through again, and if Danny Choi's found here in the box, it's 4-2. Back with Jez, who looks again for the help of Berry. Thinks about floating one in, doesn't do so in the end, entrusting Cresnar to keep the play going. Now it's back with Travis Major. One of the changes there in Maniti involved in settling down the play in the middle of the park, where St George are very, very keen to get a touch on and spring. Cresnar again, as they wait for the pocket to open up. It's open up for Moore. One touch past his defender, would have set him away, and that is why illegal activity is required, arguably, from St George to shut that one down and stop it at a dead ball, which Maxim Jez sets now. For Adam Berry, who stands over it. In the absence of a Mitch Malia here, they'll need another superstar behind the dead ball to ensure the points are a bit safer than they currently stand. Berry over the ball. Cresnar there to help. That one falls flat. Nothing doing. And you can see now the intensity is up from the Saints. They know we're in the dying embers now. The 84th minute is approaching us quickly. Not much time to keep that good run going. It was always going to be a task. That's what set us up for such a tricky and enticing fixture this afternoon on the Football New South Wales YouTube channel, which we again thank you for your company. It's Jude Dolan on the call. 5 goals thus far, and I have a feeling that I'm not done calling them yet. Sunday Yona trying to keep it in down the left. The right, rather. Unable to do so. As Cresnar has the chance to regroup for Blacktown, who sit comfortably now, as St George look to have run out of options. From a neutral perspective, for the intrigue of this fixture, I hope I'm wrong. And there's more left to happen here for the Saints that have been so good in recent weeks. to bounce back from that cup loss in the week. They'll be focused on league action though. They're sat at 2 goals right now. That's the most they've scored since that away day at Lambert Park against Apia. A 2-1 win against Wollongong. A 2-1 win against St George City. As we come back to their record in a second, as their opponents Blacktown look to make it 4. Maxim Jez needs the help of Crest now, but it's fallen behind him. Sunday owner is keen to get a good foot on that one. Still loses out though. As we go back to the talk about St George. 2-1 win against Wollongong Wolves. 2-1 win against St George City. 2-0 win against the Central Coast Mariners last week. And funnily enough, 2 goals in that loss as well to Sydney Olympic in the week in the 4th round of the preliminaries of the Australia Cup. 15th of March, the last time they scored more than twice. It's a test at home to Sydney United next week. But before then, they have to try and get a point from a keen Blacktown here at Landon, who look good again here with Nick O'Brien playing in Keanu Moore. Sitso reckons he's got the touch there. Indeed, he has come out the side of it he'd want. It's Casella tangled with Berry, who wins out again. And St George are parked inside their defensive half. Almost back with Blacktown again. Pat O'Shea tries to restore some damage by taking it down and setting Bay Antonio away down the right, which he chooses to go back central to Pat O'Shea. Now the space opens up on the left, and it's Troy Danaskos. Chooses to go back again, and you can hear the frustrations from those alongside me here at Landon. Got to go for it now if they are indeed going to score more than twice for the first time in over a month. They look to Sido. Danaskos, it's too far ahead of him. It's still in play. He thought it was going to go out. McKinley, luckily, affording St George possession back, with a poor distribution as it stayed in. Now, this is where they need to show just how much of a contender they can be. The foul goes their way on that occasion. It's Caligari who went down. Troy Danaskos. 2 minutes plus stoppages left to play at Landon. Round 10 action of the NPL Men's New South Wales 2025 season, which has been oh so exciting thus far. Another instalment here. Travis Major clears from this angle. It looked like it was going behind the Landon grandstand, but it stays in play as perspective goes against us. Rodriguez to Sito. Danaskos trying to make it happen. He's entrusted in Dunn there down the left. Swapping out for the positions that Michelli would be hoping that they'd both otherwise be in. But however it happens, he won't mind, as long as it does indeed happen for the Saints. It could happen here as it falls to the edge of the box. Bay Antonio's got it. You know he loves to hit them. Doesn't do so on this occasion. Awaits a run of Casella that does not come. And as Will Gottis says over the mics here at Landon, indeed it is worth now mentioning that Blacktown will immediately have to look ahead to next week. Mount Druitt away. Your match of the round for round 11 on the Easter weekend. It's more than a chocolate treat in that one on your Easter. That is going to be a big one out at Popondetta. Mount Druitt, who were thumped last night by Apia at Lambert. Has not been a good week for them. They will be looking to get a bit more positivity back in Popondetta. with a derby against their rivals here in City next week. Before then, Blacktown have to see this one out. Keanu Moore down the left. 2 balls on the field here, which I'm not sure if the officials have noticed. Regardless, Moore's going to go alone. Supposedly a nick on its way out. Past the St. George goal. Not in it, which they'll be oh so happy about, the Saints. As we head into the final 5 here at Landon. Put up by the 4th official. St. George need to do the most with it. That's not it. Keanu Moore able to get a foot in there as Rodriguez lost his bearings. And perhaps this one is too big of a task for St. George. Again, would not be complaining if it's a commentator's curse and we get a grandstand finale here to close off round 10. But if not, Blacktown will be oh so happy to pick up the points again at Landon. All 3 of them this time. As they did last week against Sutherland, not the week before. To winning ways and some. Back to back for Blacktown. But it's not said and done yet. Roughly 4 minutes left for St. George to try and conjure something up here. As aforementioned, the sun starts to set. Caligari. Now Antonio. And the Saints will need him at his best in these last few minutes. If not the other forwards, namely the man who has just won them a throw in here, Jaden Casella, who will be looking for a second of the afternoon. Sunday Yona. That's someone else who'll be keen to get on the score sheet tonight. Tries to wiggle away from his man. He has one out. And Kovic has called that one in St. George's favour. Is this the chance? Pat O'Shea looks like he's trying to take it quickly and catch out Blacktown. So will they go direct? Or have they got something they've been cooking up at Barton Park in the week? Whatever it is, Fabs and his staff on the bench below us here at Landon will need it to bear fruit if they are to pick up an oh so valuable point away at Landon this Arvo. Standing over, it's Casella, who will go direct. It had good dip on it, but just over it goes. Nothing doing on that occasion. And Caden Henderson has already placed himself in the bushes behind the goal, looking to retrieve the ball that went over. Either just the goodwill of him trying to get the ball or trying to slow down time, whatever it is, there's a ball with him now. It was passed to him by Fabian Michelli, who will be wanting to use every valuable second in these final moments. Blacktown lead at 3-2. Henderson goes long. Jez loses out. It's Danaskos who wins the header. O'Brien, assertive, gets a ball back forward, which is only going to reach Daniel Axford, who has to reset. Now or never for St. George this afternoon. Danaskos, Antonio. Danaskos is going to continue the run. Unable to be found on the first occasion. And if he was to get there on that one, it would have been due to a lucky ricochet. Crittenden asking if time has approached. He may be right as Henderson goes long again. Calls from the Blacktown bench are correct. They hold on for 2 wins from 2 at home, despite a St George side that were up for the task today, that's for sure. 2 goals is all they can conjure up again. Blacktown 3. And some goals they were, some efforts all across the park. We knew we were set for an enticing one this afternoon. The Bay Antonio show stops. That streak is over. No goal for him. Beautiful goals for Poon and Casella, but that is all that St George could do against the Blacktown side, who win at home again. As we wrap up proceedings here at Loudoun Stadium in Seven Hills, your NPL Men's New South Wales Round 10 matchup between Blacktown City and St George FC ends Blacktown City 3, St George FC 2.